Sagittarius October 4, 2022. The moon encourages your lighter, more spontaneous side today. This transit is not only about escaping the ordinary but also about expanding your experiences or mind. Opening up to others somehow invites more opportunities into your life. There is more generosity and a spirit of goodwill in your interactions now that can be especially pleasing, although some friendships can be a little touchy. In truth, generally speaking, it's a somewhat unreliable time, and you could be dealing with communication or mechanical delays and issues today and tomorrow. There's also a tendency to skip steps or jump ahead something to watch. A glittering day awaits you, one of the best in the year for romance and love. As sweet Venus, our goddess planet, enchants you from across the sky in your solar 7th house, she will link perfectly to mighty Jupiter, our great benefic, spinning in your solar 1st house of identity, your zodiac sign. This heavenly dance ensures you will feel an urge to have more fun. Don't worry about being productive now. Indulge in pleasure by living in the moment. Laughter, bliss, and magic can be found everywhere you go, so be on the hunt for ecstasy. Expand and explore your professional commitments. You may not be able to do it all alone, especially as Venus in Libra opposes Jupiter retrograde in your sign. Instead of focusing solely on your professional growth, you may need to shift your attention to the growth of your professional arrangements and relationships. This opposition will encourage you to take a step back to focus on the bigger picture, your commitments. If you work on making your professional arrangements and partnerships successful, this will also influence your own success. While Mercury's direct turn in your work sector today and Pluto's in your career sector in a week from today means that the professional tide is turning, things will remain locked in place on the income front. With planets in your income sector remaining in retrograde motion for the rest of the year, as the tide turns professionally, this will only increase access to untapped income potential. Today's planetary alignment is there to encourage you in your pursuit of truth. This is like the Hollywood starlet carrying out the director's wishes with perfection and grace, creating something sublime. In other words, act out your fantasies. Remember that in order to do this successfully, you must plan. A great thing to plan is the meals you will eat in a week. Plan all of them, or up to 5 days' worth, at the start of each week. You will reap enormous benefits, physically, emotionally, and financially. This is the ideal day to meet beautiful people. Your numbers' vibrations will give you a great clairvoyance in all your exchanges, contacts, and affairs. There's no doubt about it, you will see things more quickly than last week and it will be easier to communicate. If you can put your organizational skills to work, take advantage of this day and fill up your schedule with appointments, you could be a big winner. While Mercury's direct turn today ends the last Mercury retrograde phase of 2022, he has had to come to a standstill, as has Pluto as he moves into his final 7 days in retrograde motion. This has put the brakes on, with the weekend the perfect chance to make the most of a call to pause. With Mercury turning direct in your busy work sector and Pluto in your career sector, the tide is turning, and while paused now, things are set to become a lot busier. At the same time that Venus is spending her first weekend in your relationship sector, she is also starting to catch up with the Sun. Over the coming weeks they will draw closer until they eventually align, and for the first time in 3 years, the Sun is able to put the solar spotlight on your relationships while Venus is working her magic. Our eyes in the sky. The energy requires you to stay on your toes. It could pull you in different directions, but if you seize the day you'll benefit in the end. There is so much happening at once with today's transits. A strong pull between earth and fire has a hand in both moving things forward practically and jumping into things courageously. The moon is in Capricorn while the sun is in Libra, and there is a strong sense that we need to be brave today. Your creative passion is burning in your soul, but it requires some kind of organization. With a square between the loving sun in Libra and the domineering moon in Capricorn, there's a dynamic pull between structure and ambition. This is where the conflict arises and where you really need to hold it down. Remember that everyone thinks they're right. There is a conviction in the collective that could go either way. Pay close attention to the news you receive over the next few days, and don't give up on your dream. Mercury turns direct today, ending the current retrograde. With plenty of raw and real conversations going on, you might come to a conclusion that you've needed to understand for many years. This could completely change the direction of your internal compass. Never compromise your needs for the needs of others. After midnight, the moon enters Capricorn and ends its void of course that began yesterday afternoon. Over the next 2 days, we abandon Sagittarian optimism for Capricorn stoicism. The moon's transit through this sign can cause us to come off as cold or disinterested in our interactions with others. In reality, we are simply less demonstrative of our emotions. We are more reserved and calculating, weighing the risks and rewards of our choices. Life becomes a kind of cost-benefit analysis. In this frame of mind, sacrifices can be made for a long-term legacy we can be proud of. On the one hand, you see many of your strengths and feel pretty good about yourself. On the other hand, you feel the one nagging thing you haven't been able to quite work out dragging you down. If you continue to compare yourself to others, you will create a real problem for yourself. If you use the positive to confront the negative within yourself, you stand a chance of a real breakthrough. Try to keep yourself centered through some aerobic exercise to keep the fresh blood flowing. In the pre-dawn hours, Mercury stations direct after 3 weeks of being retrograde. Errors in judgments were particularly visible during the messenger planet's backspin through communication-oriented Libra and detail-obsessed Virgo. However, misunderstandings and missed appointments have been a blessing in disguise, compelling us to slow down, pause, and recalibrate. We've been forced to get extra clear about what we want, especially in our relationships. Although we are now clear to return to our seat at the negotiating table, Mercury will be moving through its post-retrograde shadow until October, so continue to exercise mindfulness.